Alright, so this video is just going to deal with just showing you guys some little tips and tricks on how to deal with some of the issues that you guys have noticed with the stripes. Some of you guys haven't started the stripes yet, but this will kind of help you guys with that too. Really, again, the bottom line with watercolors and the secret to using watercolors is just to understand how the water affects the paint, okay? You add more water to your paint, it's going to lighten it. You add less water to your paint, you're going to get a darker, more saturated color to it. So these are just the swatches. You've seen this before. These are the swatches that should represent your stripes, okay, the kind of wash that you're using for your stripes. Now remember, after you get both sets of stripes finished, what you need to do is make a darker version of your wash here, and then that will then be painted on top of those intersections just at the squares, those square intersections that you have when the two stripes cross each other. And again, you got to make sure you're painting just on really dry paper, so check your paper before you start. So there's that. So I'm going to just kind of practice here on the back page of this, okay? Now remember, you guys have two palettes. I have a little delay, so let's get that focused. Try this. Ooh, that's such a delay. Okay. All right, we'll see. Yep, still a delay. All right, so you have two palettes. You have one that's going to have your straight paint, and the second one is just going to be used to mix all of your washes together. So I'm going to just use two colors just to kind of give a reference to just some of these things that I'm going to talk about. So the first one I'm going to show you guys is what's going to happen, what happens, or how should you deal with paint that you get in an area that you didn't want it in. So let's say you were kind of traveling your brush across and just some paint dropped on it. So what I'm going to do my best to try to drop some paint down on this. And I'm actually just using my straight paint. I haven't diluted any of this, so the color is going to be pretty, what I'm guessing, it's going to be pretty diluted. I'm not going to drop it here. I'll just put it right there. So let's say, for example, you get paint somewhere where you didn't want it, okay? So that's the cerulean blue. All right, so the way that you need to fix that, okay, got my bucket of water, okay, and you want to fill, I've noticed a lot of people don't have enough water in their buckets. You want to fill the buckets, I'd say at least half with water, just because the more water you have in there, the more diluted of whatever it is that you're washing off on it. So if you have just a little bit of water and you wash your brush just once, that's now pretty dark color. So I would fill it up at least halfway with water, okay? So I'm going to clean the paint off my brush, okay? And then I'm going to use this bigger brush. So I'm going to take some clean water here, semi-clean, and I'm just going to basically I'm going to do a couple things here. I'm going to take my paper towel, and again, use these paper towels, not the fake ones that are in the dispensers. And I'm going to just gently press on top of that and let the paper towel soak the paint up, okay, as much as I can. Take clean water, so I've got a lot of water on this brush, and I'm just going to basically oversaturate it with clean water. And then I'm just going to put, again, my paper towel on top of it and try to pick it up, okay? And every time I do this, I want to make sure I'm using a clean area of my paper towel, because if I'm not, I'm probably just putting more color down. I'm also, too, while I'm putting a lot of water on this spot, I'm also, too, kind of rubbing on the paper, and that helps kind of lift up that color that you don't want. And you want to be careful, because if you kind of rub and pet that paper too much, you will damage it and it'll start to roll a little bit. Now I am in my sketchbook, so this paper is not as heavy as what you have for your painting. So I'm just pressing that paper towel right on top of there, and I'm letting that paper towel really soak up the paint out of the water. And so you can see that's what it looks like. And that might be all that I get, but that's definitely a lot better than what it was before. So you're not going to get rid of it, but you are going to make it a lot lighter. Okay, so that's one of the ways you guys can fix a problem that you might have. Now the other thing I got, and I'll show you here, I'm going to take my palette for making my washes. This is my straight paint here. Let's zoom out a little bit. That's a little. All right, I'm going to start by just kind of putting some water in one of these wells. because I don't want really dark paint. And then I'm going to pick up some paint here and just kind of dilute it. See what I've got. Okay. All right, so one of the other questions I got was, you know, what about these puddles? So let's say, okay, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Kind of get that to puddle up. Let's say, for example, I put a little too much paint down on the paper. Oh, wrong way. Hold up. A little too much. Got some puddles here. What can I do? Okay, now if I let that dry like that, it will dry darker in those areas where the puddles are because there's more color there settling. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wash my brush off in my water bucket, which you can't see on the screen. And I'm going to take my paper towel, and I'm going to basically take all of that water out of the brush. Okay? I want to basically dry it off. So now my brush is as dry as I can make it, and this will act as a sponge, okay? So what I can do now is take that brush, go in here, pick up that puddle. I can even, too, while I do that, kind of paint over this to kind of even it out a little bit before it dries. And there, puddle's gone, okay? You see that? So if you get any puddles, your brush can also be a sponge, okay? What are some other problems? Oh, patchiness. Anybody getting the patchiness? Okay. So what happens sometimes, and I'll make, let's see here. What happens sometimes is that when you're painting, you might notice that the paint doesn't go on real even, and that's just a characteristic with acrylics, or I mean watercolors. You're not going to get that with acrylics, and you're not going to get that with oils. It's just going to happen with anything that's like a wash. So you'll get that with India ink if you create like a black and white painting with just using India ink and different washes. You'll get that. So let me see here. I didn't mix up all my paint. All right, so how do you deal with that? One of the things you can do, and you'll notice, all right, so if you paint down, let's say, an area right here, okay, let's say it sits there for a little bit, and it dries. Actually, I'll do it with this one. I'll do it with my blue. Oh, I did it with the straight. Oh. So our teacher problems here. All right. So if you see, it's going to get patchy, okay? One of the reasons why it looks patchy right now is because this I did earlier and it's already dried, and this has been done later. So the secret to getting that to look more uniform, if that's what you want, is to basically what I call paint and run. So what you're going to do is just paint your area, brush it, kind of even it out, and then let it go, okay? So brush it, paint it, and let it go. If you sit there and keep just kind of putting a little bit there and a little bit there and just something right there, it's going to look patchy. But you just need to basically paint it down. Try to do it as little of brush marks as possible. Get it down there and then let it to dry and just leave it alone. Okay? Just leave it alone. And you'll see that it'll be more uniform that way. Are there any other problems that you guys have noticed that you would like me to address? Some things too you can do, like if you are having another option, if you think about it again, try to zoom this out. Not only can your brush be a sponge, but this can also too be. Now the bottom, the thing that's a problem with the paper towel is if that you use this to kind of soak stuff up, sometimes you do get the texture of the paper towel to kind of imprint on there. But you can use this also too. I'll just kind of pick this stuff up. You can just use that to pick up those puddles. Just kind of even it out. See? So you can pick that up. Then the other problem is you got a lot of paint on your paper towel. But this is why it's so important, and with watercolor painting especially, is that you have a really good absorbent paper towel. That's why those brown things that they call paper towels in there, They don't, it's just a big lie. They're not paper towels at all. It's just paper wrapped up in a roll, pretending to be a paper towel, okay? So you want this stuff, all right? Is there anything that you guys want me to address? Any problems? Okay, bottom line is the best way to learn about any medium is just to give it a go. You learn by making mistakes and just practicing. So there you go. All right, so that's it.